Okay, that leaves where I could just edit stuff. And I could have edited it a different way if I wanted to. So now, once I started interviewing, working second shift remote, now, let me tell you how this frees me up, how it worked. Monday through Thursday, I'm working second shift remote. So I'm off at 9 o'clock. I'm working 11 to 9. They got to train you for about a month or two before you ever get on them phones. So you already know what the business is. I'm still looking around. As you should. I got my laptop over on the side. I'm still looking around. You know what I'm saying? As you should. Absolutely, 100%. Don't never let nobody tell you no different. As you should. You supposed to be looking for better. Right? So that freed up my mornings for interviewing. And also Fridays I'm off because they got me working the Sunday shift. Now initially I think it was Monday through Friday for the training. But then eventually I got through on the Sunday shift. And all you're really doing is making outgoing calls. And if somebody calls in and gets a voicemail, then, you might, and you're basically just rebooting modems. So, like I said, that's not something that I'm going to do long term. Hell no. But that joint was permanent. Didn't pay what I needed to get me back to where I needed, but it paid more than the camera installation joint. It paid more than that. And then it frees me up to where I'm not stuck in this building because see, that was second shift too. But if you're stuck in the building and you get an interview and they want to interview at 1 o'clock, you're at work. That's the thing about help desk and stuff like that. If you're working a help desk, now that wasn't help desk, that was installation on site. But when you're working help desk, you can't move because you're stuck in this damn seat unless you're remote. So you don't, that's why a lot of help desk call center positions, they want people back in the building so you can't do no better for yourself. They know that you can't go and interview because you're stuck and you're adhered to a call. Now, my advice, when people say, well, what kind of job should I look for? Maybe a hybrid approach, or like I say, somewhere where, and it's not even just about taking other interviews. It's just that when your life is stuck in this seat and you can't get up and you can't move, your day, you're just stationary. And at that point, you might as well be at a warehouse. That's 100% on site. The nice thing about a hybrid is if you get like a business system analyst or a BA job or some kind of position where it's not just back-to-back calls left and right, and you could do the kind of work where you could do a little work here. Hey, you got a contractor outside. He's doing your basement. You can't really get off the phone call. You want something to where it's not that you're not doing your work, but you're not just, you don't got a piece of adhesive connected to your ASS every 5 seconds. If you need to get up and grab a package in the front yard or whatever the case may be, you could do that. But you're still getting your work done. You see what I'm saying? So the ideology of putting people back in the office is really about micromanagement because in the buildings that I'm in now, they don't have room. You're not going to be by any of the people that work on your team because there's not enough room. You're going to have to go to another floor. So that's not going to work. Y'all are going to have to open up more real estate. So, that's my thought process on that. Now, getting to the nuts and the bolts of what my whole point was in terms of the interview system. The interview that I did, and I'll break that down. Get these flies up out of here. The interview system, or the interview, and I'll break that down, is that I did an interview. Let me roll this back up because he's cutting his grass again. He cuts our grass real good too. The interview system, or damn it, the interview that I took was what they call level 2. Now that was probably similar to what I did in this environment before. If you notice, now I'm giving y'all a little prep because I'm going to upload this video today. If you notice, the questions that they ask are it's not a ton of them. It's broad. A lot of times when you're in a financial company, when you're dealing with like a financial interview with tech, a lot of times you may not have 100,000 stupid questions about, well, what would you do with this? What would you do with that? What would you do with this? They'll give you maybe 3 to 4. They want to see how you are able to communicate. How are you able to communicate? Are you able to communicate well? That's a key thing that they want. That's a key skill set. And when you look at AI, now you're going to see in a minute, my point exactly again, we're not fully in the AI space just yet. You're going to hear him say that. We're not fully in the AI space just yet. Oh, still a little loud. We're not fully in the AI space yet. We're still working on that. We still need business analysts to look at certain things to make key decisions. Another question that you're going to have. How do you communicate with other people? How do you prioritize? What kind of technology do you like? What kind of technology don't you like? Why don't you like it? You need to have answers for that. It's loud. I'm sorry, y'all. You need to have answers for that. And then at the end, you have 3 to 4 questions. It's my homie Rob. You need to have 3 to 4 focal questions. Now I'm going to do an interview with my homie and stuff. He was down there and they say, I think Tucson, they say it's Tucson, Arizona. How you get this thing up out of here? All right, get out of here. Damn. Get this fly up out of here. Tucson, Arizona is where I posted that situation. Basically, man, to my knowledge, what happened is my homie, he's sitting there minding his own business. Some Hispanic suspected race soldier pulls up on him talking about, you stole my phone. You stole my little janky Boost mobile phone. So it's interesting, folks in the comments, I just put it out there and did the review, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know it was going to do that much, but man, he said it's hitting. And I basically said, man, I'm going to get you on camera to tell you, for you to tell your side of the story. You know what I'm saying? Because you was accused of doing something you wasn't going to do. You seen a black man get sitting around and you said he did it. You got the wrong person. And folks is backing her up, talking about, well, oh, don't divide us or not. We ain't doing that. No. Yeah, that day's over. Black American freedmen, we ain't doing that no more. Yeah, we not doing this so everybody come together, kumbaya stuff, and we us just being undermined and being accused of stuff we didn't do, but you want us to come together. You go to hell with that. We ain't gonna do none of that. No. That man was minding his own business. I don't know none of my homies that got a damn Boost mobile phone. You know what I'm saying? Maybe somebody might do it fresh out. That dude ain't gonna come out and then just steal somebody's mobile phone. Nah, man, come on. So they backing her. They in the comments backing her over the brother that got accused for something that he didn't even do. So that's what kind of time they on. But anyway, let's get back to the interview. So it's a level 1 production interview. And you notice emerging technology. Then he used another term. Now I'm going to break this down piece by piece. I'm going to upload the video. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload the audio. So there's going to be 2 videos and I'm going to do a third video to analyze everything that happened and break it down piece by piece as to what was said, as to what I should have said, as to anything that if I got to expound upon to tell you, well, this is what they're really asking. And if you notice, the interview is only going to be 20 minutes. It's very, very fast. Now, at the end, it cut off. And it cut off because my battery. It cut off because of my battery. You know what I'm saying? My laptop battery was 100%. I'm sitting in my homie's car trying to take the interview, and then it goes to 50%, and then it goes to 14%, and I'm sitting there sweating bullets like, oh no, man, and you're in the middle of an interview. You can't, now, mind you, you figure, well, I should have got plugged in. Yeah, I should have took the interview somewhere where it's plugged in. Is that a yellow jacket? Is that a hornet or a paper wasp? Well, he'll have to come around and say, there go my entomology again. I should have been on National Geographic. Should have said the hell with this IT stuff. So when they say production support, you're going to hear something about code. We don't do the code, but you're going to have to learn new technologies and learn different things as they come along. I would much rather do that. That's something that I have been doing anyway. When I mentioned something about doing DevOps, dealing with Kubernetes and Docker, I'm no expert at that whatsoever. That was my first time really being able to touch that technology. But I dealt with what they call observability tools, Splunk, SolarWinds, things of that nature. So that was a term that I was trying to search, and I couldn't remember what he said. But now I remember. It's observability tools. Put that in your resume if you use Splunk, even if you played around with it. Like I was telling y'all, go and just learn how to use it and get the power user certification, which I believe is free. You know what I'm saying? So I used that when I was at the out there with UHG, and I used that when I was in at the banking place. I also saw something that I thought was very interesting. For a position I applied at this same place I interviewed, I got denied the permanent position based on qualifications or something like that or whatever. I'm very qualified exactly for that position. They probably disqualified me from that one because they're looking at me for this one. That's a strong possibility that happened. And I'm eligible for rehire as a perm or a contractor. So that's something that I had to call HR about and ask and stuff, and like I say, no hard feelings. This is business. Even the story I told you about with the JP Morgan, the brother from JP Morgan, it happened. I ain't got no issue with the company itself. These were people that was doing this kind of stuff. Talking behind the brother's back or whatever. This is a different department. Night and day. It's a whole different ball game. You know what I'm saying? But I told it for what it was. I just felt like that's something y'all would want to know. That happened in that environment. You know what I'm saying? These things happen. A lot of times people would say, well, don't say anything. Don't speak out. You might be worried about going back or whatever the case may be. I'm like, well, I got an interview. You know what I'm saying? I didn't mention any specific names to anybody. I just said what happened. So, a lot of times, like I say, y'all don't really see too many channels like this where I quote unquote whistleblow. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't, a lot of people don't be, because folks are so terrified and afraid of a big high paying position or a title that they rather not say nothing at all. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're applying for that specific place and you're that concerned, well,